Awaken to hair growth. Awaken to hair growth because there is possibility to get your hair back. Awaken to hair growth because we're not told that we're able to conquer and overcome alopecia. Awaken to hair growth because I want to be a positive light and beacon for you because I've healed my alopecia and now I help others do the same with different types of alopecia, men, women, children of all ages, of all races and ethnicities.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to the Alopecia Angel podcast, Awaken to Hair Growth. Today, we are talking about the 10%. And many of you might be scratching your heads and wondering, what is the 10%? And the 10% are the people who don't see hair growth in 8 weeks within the Hair and Heal program. And many times I get that question, what happens to that 10%? Because in the Hair and Heal program, 90% see hair growth, and all they need to do is just to keep going and continue to be consistent. But what happens to that 10%? Do they not see hair growth, and what's going on with them? And what I wanted to clarify today is that it's not that they don't necessarily see hair growth. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but many times they don't. And why is that? Well, it's because there's more work to be done. We've uncovered blind spots, and they have more work to be done in order to truly get fully healed and health. It's kind of like if you were, let's say, a whole family of 5 were to get chickenpox all at the same time. Does that mean that everyone's going to recover at the same time, at the same day, on the same hour? Does that mean that even if we all got COVID, does that mean we're all going to recover at the same time, on the same day, the same week? No. And even the recovery might look different for one person towards the next. And in the case of alopecia, many times I have clients who have a second and a third autoimmune disease. Sometimes the alopecia is it's a non-autoimmune hair loss, and it's just telogen effluvium. It's just maybe traction alopecia. Maybe it's a different type of alopecia, right? Alopecia is just the medical term for hair loss. It's a different type of hair loss, not have anything to do with autoimmune, but they might also have other blind spots. And for those of you who don't know what a blind spot is, I recommend that you go back to episode number 2, where I discuss things that are hidden, things that are hindering you from getting the true full scope, and they're holding you back. They're like shackling you in order to not let you progress towards hair growth. And many times it's not that this didn't work or that didn't work. It's not that it doesn't work. It's that there's more work to be done, if that makes sense. You know, before having alopecia, I used to do rigorous yoga, and I used to do rigorous Pilates. And I started Pilates and yoga when I was in my 20s. And I loved them both. I love Pilates actually a little bit more than yoga, but I love yoga, and I appreciate yoga and their teachings and the philosophy so much more now. And I mention this because when I first started Pilates, not yoga, but when I first started Pilates, this was before yoga actually, I couldn't touch my toes. I was that 5-year-old who could never touch her toes. And even in physical education classes, even doing ballet, even doing sports of all different types, I still wasn't flexible ever to touch my toes. And it wasn't until 3 years in of doing Pilates on a regular basis every week that it got to the point where, lo and behold, I was able to touch my toes. I was 25, by the way, 25 years of age when I first was able to touch my toes for the first time ever. And I say this because, you know, sometimes people, including myself, I thought, oh, I'm not flexible. Oh, I can't do that. I could never do the splits. Like I was that child who could never do the splits. I was that child who I just couldn't for some reason. Either my hamstrings were too tight or something was going on. And I mention this because for some people, like my sister, she could throw her leg behind her ears and her head, and it's like, you know, put herself on a pretzel, and it's like no big deal. She could do a handstand, you know, just by trying on the first try. And for me, it's not that way. I had to work at getting to be flexible. I consider myself pretty flexible now, but it's also because it's taken me years to get to that point of doing yoga and Pilates on a regular basis. And so with regular consistency, I'm able to touch my toes, put my leg behind my ears, and all these other cool tricks like handstands and this and that. But it comes with effort on my end. For some people, like my sister, it's all natural and they can just get up and do it. Sometimes you have that natural born talent, and sometimes you have to work at it. And either way, it's no less of you. It's just a different perspective. It's just a different way of getting to that goal, of getting to that achievement. If, you want to touch your toes, if you want to be flexible, if you want to get that to that handstand or headstand. And in terms of alopecia, sometimes a little extra work is needed, and sometimes a little extra steps are needed. And again, it's because of blind spots. It could be because of your current situation of health. Maybe some of those clients have come to me again, and they have a second or a third autoimmune disease, or maybe they have another health concern that they're dealing with. And it could take, again, a few steps longer, or it could take, 6 months longer, or even a year longer. And that's okay. And I will say that I took 3 years. I took more than 3 years, a little bit more than 3 years, to finally see hair growth and to be on that straight and narrow path, because I had those blind spots. I wasn't self-aware at the time. And it took me 3 years to figure it out. Like, oh my gosh, it's this, and this that's holding me back. And I had a bunch of things that were holding me back. Some in diet, some in lifestyle, and some like in under lifestyle, but like in subcategories, because within lifestyle, there's a bunch of subcategories. If not, there's like 20 of them that do pertain to lifestyle, to environment. And that's very important. And so whether you're the child or the adult, don't disregard diet, don't disregard lifestyle. They both hold a lot of weight. And also, this is where that form, that evaluation form that I've mentioned before, it's a 10-page evaluation form. And this is where blind spots come out. This is where I'm able to really see what's going on with your current health, because your current health is essentially brought you to this point of hair loss, what's brought you to me. And then on top of it, it also tells me what's happened in the last 5, 10, 15 plus years of your whole life. And then also, even from birth almost, it tells me everything that I need to know. And for everybody, that looks a little different. It's not just the age or for how long you've had it or even the type of alopecia. It's the history. It's the historical background. And going back to the car analogy that I like to use on and on, it's like when you buy a car, let's say it's brand new right off the lot. That's very different than buying a used car, right? Very, very different. And when you buy the used car comes with hopefully all the paperwork of all the maintenance that it has, of maybe the new tires, the new battery, of maybe any accidents that it might have had, or any fender benders of that nature, or maybe a new paint job, who knows, right? So there's a history to that used car, even if it's 1 or 2 years old, of being used. There's mileage that has been placed on it. Maybe there's been altered parts to it. I know sometimes people like to put in like bigger mufflers so that they sound louder when they're driving and you hear them come in and come out. There's just so many different options when it comes to the car. And in the same vein with you and your health and as a person, you have a long history as well. So for example, I'll take myself as an example. If I'm 40 something years of age, I have 40 something years of history of my health, of history of where I've been, what I've done, and all that creates the makeup of where I am today. And it's also what's led me to my alopecia when I was in my 30s. And then understanding how to overcome it is what allowed me to continue to thrive, if that makes sense, right? Because once you know how to thrive, once you know how to put this to sleep and say goodbye, then it's a done deal. You're done with it. You don't have to revisit alopecia. And so now, like I said, I've had a pregnancy, I'm in my 40s, and I continue to have my hair, I continue to grow my hair, and it's never an issue again. And so this can happen at any age. I have clients from 2 years of age all the way to 65 years of age and everything in between. So at any stage that you're in, this can happen to you, but at the same time, you can also take that to your advantage and use it to better yourself for the future. Now, of course, plus the future. So that's what happens to the 10%. It's not that they're not going to see growth. It's just that they need a little more time. I needed a little more time. I needed a couple more years to really figure this out for me. And that's how everything started with Alopecia Angel. I wanted to share my pain and my progress and it became my purpose. So through the pain, my purpose emerged. And through the pain, I was able to heal. And now I help others heal and do the same. And I know that you can as well. I invite you to check out the success stories online at alopeciaangel.com. For those of you who are interested in the raffle, I'm raffling off a bundle of books, my 2 books, the cookbook, The Secrets to Health and Hair Growth, and then also free consultations. So go ahead and leave a podcast review, take a picture and send it in, and you will be entered into the raffle. I look forward to seeing those entries. And if you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email or a message, and we'll be happy to answer your question. Take care.
Thank you for listening to the Alopecia Angel podcast, a positive light in healing alopecia. You can do this and we can help. Spread the word that reversing alopecia is possible by telling your friends and family.